Maya sipped her latte, the bitter warmth contrasting sharply with the cold drizzle outside the cafe window. She watched the city hum around her, traffic lights flickering, pedestrians hurrying past with umbrellas that did little to shield them from the relentless rain. She was excited, nearly trembling, and she could hardly contain herself. Today, she would share the news with Lena, her best friend since college, the one person she trusted above all others. Lena arrived, impeccably dressed as always, her heels clicking against the wet pavement. She smiled, the kind of radiant smile that made people feel immediately at ease, and hugged Maya tightly. "You look like you've seen a ghost," Lena teased. "What's got you buzzing this early?" Maya pulled out her phone, almost shaking from anticipation. "It's the deal! Lena, it's incredible! I finally found it! The investment that could change everything! I can't believe I almost missed it!" Lena's eyes lit up with practiced enthusiasm. "Tell me everything," she said, leaning in closer. But as Maya spoke, Lena's hand brushed against her phone, fingers hovering over the screen. There was a flicker, a brief hesitation that Maya didn't notice, but the seed of doubt, invisible yet potent, had already been planted in the audience's mind. Maya laid out the details. A small tech startup poised for massive growth, struggling only because of a lack of capital. "I've saved enough to make a serious stake," Maya said. "If this works, Lena, I'm telling you, this could change everything." Lena nodded, smiling widely. "I'm so proud of you, Maya. You deserve this." Yet her mind was elsewhere. As soon as Maya looked away to take a sip of her coffee, Lena pulled out her phone. In a few swift taps, she sent a message to someone saved under a cryptic name. "The girl is in. Handle it." Inside, Maya felt a flutter of unease. She shrugged it off. Lena had always been reliable, her rock in the chaos of life. Still, that little moment would haunt the audience. It was the first real clue that Lena was not what she seemed. Over the next few days, the investment process seemed straightforward. Maya transferred funds, signed documents, and waited for confirmation. She called Lena nearly every night, excitedly recounting the steps. Lena listened patiently, laughing when Maya laughed, offering words of encouragement. All the while, behind that friendly exterior, Lena's plan unfolded. Then came the first hint that something was wrong. Maya awoke one morning to an email notification that made her stomach drop. Transfer failed. Funds unavailable. Her heart pounded. She checked again. No, it couldn't be. She'd triple-checked the accounts, the bank confirmations. Everything was correct. She picked up her phone and dialed Lena immediately. "Lena, did you see this?" she asked, trying to keep panic from seeping into her voice. What happened?" Lena replied, her tone perfectly measured, even concerned. "Are you sure it's not just a delay?" Maya hesitated, uncertainty gnawing at her stomach. "It says the funds are gone, missing, vanished." There was a pause, a flicker, almost imperceptible, but enough to tighten Maya's chest. "Missing?" Lena echoed, feigning shock. "Oh my God, Maya, maybe someone hacked the account. We should call the bank immediately." They did. Hours passed. Phone calls dragged on. Maya's world, once solid and familiar, began to fracture. Emails to the investment firm were unanswered. Threatening messages arrived on her phone. Not everyone you trust has your back. Lena stayed close, offering comfort. She brought coffee to Maya's apartment, suggested strategies to track the funds, even volunteered to accompany her to the bank. Maya felt reassured, and simultaneously, the audience was aware of Lena's duplicity. It wasn't just the money. Small, unnerving events began to occur. Maya found her apartment door slightly ajar one evening. Papers were shuffled on her desk. Her car, parked safely in the driveway, had scratches that hadn't been there before. She tried to convince herself it was random, a coincidence, but the unease settled deep into her bones. Meanwhile, Lena's outward behavior remained flawless. She laughed with Maya over old memories, shared stories of work frustrations, and reminded Maya of the importance of taking breaks. Yet her private messages continued, cryptic and cold, detailing every move Maya made to the mysterious figure she had contacted. One rainy evening, Maya decided to test Lena. She mentioned a fictitious meeting with a supposed investor, claiming she would finalize details that night. Lena's reaction was subtle but telling. A flicker of irritation, a glance at her phone, and a smile that didn't reach her eyes. It was the first moment Maya truly began to suspect her friend. That night, alone in her apartment, Maya couldn't shake the feeling of betrayal. She scrolled through her messages, reread Lena's texts, and replayed every interaction. Every supportive word now seemed double-edged, every hug now suspicious. For the first time, the foundation of her friendship, the one she had always trusted, began to crumble. She stared out the window, rain blurring the city lights into streaks of color. Her phone buzzed with another anonymous text. The closer you get, the deadlier it becomes. Maya's heart raced. Was it a threat from someone connected to her investment, or a warning that the betrayal was closer than she ever imagined? The scene closes on Maya seated at her kitchen table, rain drumming against the windows, hands trembling around her coffee cup. Outside, the city moves on, unaware of the storm brewing in her life. Inside, trust has been shattered, danger is rising, and one friend's envy threatens to consume everything Maya has worked for. The first part ends with a tense pause. Maya knows something is wrong, but she doesn't yet have the full picture. Lena sits silently in her apartment across town, phone in hand, plotting the next move. The audience feels the dramatic irony fully. The friend she trusts most is already the architect of her unraveling. The city had grown colder, its lights sharper against the foggy night. Maya barely slept, tossing and turning as visions of missing funds and threatening messages haunted her. Every notification on her phone made her jump. She had started locking her apartment doors 3 times before going to bed and checking every corner for signs of intrusion. And yet, despite all her precautions, the unease never left her. It was the 3rd evening after the mysterious texts began. Maya had just returned from the bank, where she'd spent hours trying to trace the vanished investment funds. Nothing. Every lead turned into a dead end. As she entered her apartment building, a chill ran down her spine. The front door, which she was certain she had locked, was slightly ajar. She froze. Heart hammering, she pushed the door open. The hallway was silent, shadows stretching across the walls from the dim overhead lights. She called out softly, "Hello?" No response. With trembling hands, she pushed further inside. Papers on her desk had been shifted. Her laptop, which she always kept locked, was open, its screen blank but still warm. Someone had been here. Panic rose like a tide. Maya immediately thought of Lena, the only person who had access to her life at this level. Could she? No, that couldn't be possible. Lena would never. Or would she? Maya didn't have time to dwell. She reached for her phone and called Lena, her voice shaking. "Lena, I think someone's been in my apartment." Lena's voice was calm, smooth, comforting. "Oh my God, Maya, are you okay? Maybe it was just a delivery or someone trying to break in. Don't worry, I can come over." Maya wanted to say no, to keep Lena away, but fear won over. Within 15 minutes, Lena was at her door, umbrella dripping rainwater on the welcome mat. She hugged Maya, tight and reassuring, and Maya felt herself leaning into the comfort despite the gnawing suspicion in her gut. "I've called a security company," Lena said, frowning. "They'll come and check the apartment. You need to be safe." Lena's words sounded reasonable, even sensible, yet somewhere deep down, Maya felt a subtle tension, almost a shiver of doubt she couldn't name. Lena's hands lingered on hers a moment too long. Her eyes, warm and comforting, flicked subtly to Maya's phone resting on the counter. Maya ignored it. She wanted to believe. She had to. Lena had been her friend for nearly a decade. Over the next few days, the incidents escalated. Her car, parked in the secured garage, was vandalized, scratches along the door, a threatening note tucked under the windshield wiper. "Stop digging or you'll regret it." Maya felt trapped, hunted, and Lena remained at her side, ever the loyal friend. But Maya was no longer willing to remain passive. Something about the coordinated nature of these attacks convinced her that this was no random act. Someone close was orchestrating it, someone who knew her every move. She hired a private investigator, a discreet and methodical man named Victor. Within 24 hours, he began uncovering small but critical clues. Unusual financial activity linked to Maya's accounts, calls to unknown numbers from her email, and, most telling, a shadowy figure seen near her apartment repeatedly over the last week. Victor's report was precise. "Someone is targeting you, and they know your routines. This isn't random. Someone close to you is feeding them information." Maya's stomach dropped. She thought of Lena immediately. Could it be her? Could her best friend be the one behind this nightmare? She didn't want to believe it, but the evidence, combined with Lena's odd behavior, was mounting. To confirm her suspicions, Maya devised a test. She sent Lena a text that hinted at a fabricated meeting with a potential investor the next evening, one that didn't exist. She watched carefully, trying to appear casual as she carried on her day. Lena's response was almost imperceptible, a hesitation, a pause that lasted just a fraction of a second before she replied with perfectly measured enthusiasm. Maya noticed the subtle change in tone, a flicker of irritation before the usual supportive words returned. It was enough. Maya's gut screamed the truth she hadn't wanted to accept. That night, she couldn't sleep again. She sat by the window, watching the rain blur the city lights, thinking of the betrayal she had begun to sense. Lena, the friend she had trusted, the one she had confided in about her dreams and fears, could be the architect of all this chaos. Every smile, every word of encouragement suddenly felt like a knife hidden behind a handshake. The following evening, the fabricated investor meeting provided the opportunity she needed. Maya kept her apartment doors locked, but watched for any sign that Lena had tipped someone off. She noticed a black sedan pull up across the street, unmarked, ordinary-looking. A figure stepped out, moving slowly toward her building, glancing around as if verifying its target. Maya's heart raced. She called Victor, who had advised her to stay calm and document everything. "Do you see him?" she whispered, pointing toward the street. "Yes, stay put," Victor said calmly. "I'm sending backup. Don't engage." The figure lingered outside her building, then disappeared down an alley. Maya's suspicions solidified. Lena had to be involved. The pattern was too precise, too coordinated, and Lena's close presence, her comforting words, had been a perfect cover. Maya realized that she had underestimated the danger. Lena wasn't just jealous or competitive. She was manipulative, cunning, and willing to put Maya in real danger to get what she wanted. The friendship that Maya had held sacred was in fact a mask for a growing threat. The night ended with Maya staring at her phone, a new text appearing. "You're getting closer than you should. Stop now or face the consequences." The message was chilling, yet precise. Whoever sent it knew exactly what Maya was doing, and that person had inside knowledge. Maya's fear turned to resolve. She could no longer pretend that her friend was innocent. She had to uncover the full truth, no matter the cost. But Lena was clever, patient, and already planning her next move. While Maya lay awake, haunted and cautious, Lena sat across town in her dimly lit apartment, phone in hand, smirking as she reviewed Maya's responses. The game was far from over, and Lena was already several steps ahead. Part 2 closes with Maya making a quiet, resolute decision. She would fight back, uncover the betrayal, and confront whoever was behind these attacks. The audience is left on edge, fully aware that Lena is not just a friend in peril, but a dangerous adversary hiding behind the guise of loyalty. Suspense has escalated, danger looms, and the story's tension is at a fever pitch, perfectly setting up the deadly confrontation. Rain fell in sheets, drumming against the asphalt like a relentless heartbeat. Maya's footsteps echoed through the empty streets as she approached the abandoned warehouse on the outskirts of the city. Every instinct screamed danger, yet her resolve burned brighter than fear. Lena had orchestrated everything: the missing funds, the threatening messages, the vandalized car, and now Maya was ready to confront her. The warehouse loomed, a hulking silhouette against the stormy night sky. Its metal siding was rusted and the windows were cracked and grimy. From the outside, it looked desolate, abandoned, but Maya knew better. This was where Lena had chosen to make her stand, a trap cloaked in the guise of reconciliation. Maya's hands trembled, not with fear, but anticipation. She clutched the small recorder in her pocket, evidence she had secretly collected over the past week. Every suspicious text, every suspicious call, every subtle slip Lena had made was now meticulously documented. Maya was prepared, mentally and physically. Inside, the warehouse was a cavern of shadows. Moonlight filtered through the broken windows, casting jagged patterns across the concrete floor. A faint smell of oil and rust hung in the air. Maya's eyes scanned every corner. She could feel Lena before she even saw her. "Lena?" Maya called softly, her voice steady but carrying an edge. From the shadows, Lena emerged, her heels clicking on the concrete, a wide smile on her face that didn't reach her eyes. "Maya," she said, her tone sweet, deceptively calm. "I wasn't sure you'd come." Maya's stomach tightened. "Why, Lena? Why betray me? All these threats, the money, everything, it was you?" Lena's smile faltered for a split second, then returned, sharper this time, like a blade sheathed in silk. "It's not betrayal, Maya. It's ambition. You've always had it, and I wanted it too. But you always had the luck, the connections, the brains." Maya's heart pounded. "And so you decided to destroy me, to ruin everything I've worked for?" Lena shrugged almost innocently. "I didn't destroy you. I just leveled the playing field. You can't fault a girl for wanting what she deserves." The words, calm and composed, made Maya's blood run cold. She realized she was no longer just confronting a jealous friend. She was facing someone capable of extreme manipulation, someone who saw friendship as a tool. Then Lena's demeanor shifted, subtly but unmistakably. Her hand moved under her coat. A glint of metal caught Maya's eye. A knife. Panic flared, but Maya forced herself to stay calm. She had anticipated this, prepared for it. "You don't have to do this, Lena," Maya said, keeping her voice even. "We can still talk this out. It doesn't have to end in violence." Lena laughed, a sharp, bitter sound. "Talk? You've already ruined my life with your success, your luck, your friends. You think you can stop me now? No, Maya, this is my moment." Lena lunged, blade flashing under the moonlight. Maya dodged instinctively, rolling to the side. The knife clanged against a metal beam, sending sparks into the air. The fight had begun. Maya grabbed a nearby piece of wood, swinging it with desperate precision. The first strike barely grazed Lena, but it was enough to stagger her back. Lena's eyes blazed with fury as she circled, knife ready, calculating Maya's every move. "You always underestimate me," Lena hissed, stepping closer, blade poised. "I know you, Maya. I know your every habit, your every weakness." Maya's mind raced. She remembered Victor's advice. Stay calm, don't let her panic, use the environment. She kicked a loose crate toward Lena, creating a barrier. Lena stumbled over it, cursing. Maya pressed forward, forcing Lena towards the far end of the warehouse, closer to the broken windows where she had noted the unstable ledges and scattered debris. You don't have to die tonight. Maya used every ounce of her control to sound calm, authoritative. But you can't escape justice. Give up. Lena's laughter was low, dangerous. Justice? Who decides justice, Maya? You? Me? There is no justice here, only power. The blade swung again, faster this time. Maya ducked, her hair whipping around her face. She swung the wood in a wide arc, knocking the knife from Lena's hand. It skittered across the concrete, out of reach. Lena's eyes widened, momentarily unguarded. Maya seized the moment. She lunged, pinning Lena against a steel pillar. "It's over, Lena," she said, breathless but steady. "I warned you. I tried to save you from yourself." Lena struggled, her strength surprising, but Maya had planned for this. She pressed her weight down, holding Lena firmly. "Victor!" Maya shouted, and from the shadows Victor appeared, phone in hand, documenting the confrontation. Lena froze, realizing that the world outside was now watching, recording every move. "You think you've won?" Lena spat, defiance mixing with fear. Maya's eyes were hard. "No, Lena, I've just stopped you from winning tonight. The law will take care of the rest." Police sirens wailed in the distance, growing louder. Lena's face paled. For the first time, the confident, manipulative mask cracked. She struggled, but it was useless. The plan she had so carefully crafted was crumbling. When the officers arrived, Lena was still defiant but subdued, handcuffed and guided into the back of a police cruiser. Maya stepped back, watching her former friend's eyes, seeing a mixture of rage, shame, and disbelief. The storm outside had intensified, rain hammering the warehouse roof like a drumbeat of the night's chaos. Maya's chest heaved, her clothes soaked, adrenaline surging. She felt a strange mix of relief, sorrow, and lingering fear. The person she had trusted most had turned out to be her greatest threat. Outside, the city moved on, oblivious to the deadly confrontation that had just taken place. Inside Maya, a storm of emotions raged. She had survived, outsmarted a dangerous adversary, and secured justice, but the betrayal cut deeper than any physical wound. As she walked out into the rain, Victor beside her, Maya's thoughts were not of victory. They were of Lena, of the friendship lost, of the fragile trust that could so easily be weaponized. The night was wet, cold, and merciless, yet she felt a spark of resilience. She would rebuild, she would recover, but she would never forget. The audience is left at the end of part 3 with the tension fully released in the confrontation, but the emotional stakes remain high. Maya has survived, but the psychological consequences of betrayal linger, setting up a reflective and poignant 4. The courtroom was silent, except for the shuffling of papers and the low murmur of spectators. Maya sat in the front row, her posture rigid, her hands folded tightly in her lap. Across the room, Lena's expression was unreadable, though the audience of the trial could see the tension behind her calm exterior. The betrayal had escalated to its apex in the warehouse, and now the law would decide her fate. Maya's mind replayed every detail of that night, the rain-slick streets, the glint of the knife, the desperate struggle, and the weight of holding Lena down until help arrived. She had survived, but survival came with its own price, a quiet ache of sorrow for the friend she had once trusted completely. The prosecutor's voice filled the room, recounting the evidence against Lena, the text messages, financial manipulation, intimidation, and direct threats against Maya's life. The courtroom collectively gasped as recordings of Lena's own confession, captured on Maya's hidden recorder, were played. Lena's calm, articulate admission of jealousy and sabotage rang out loud and clear, leaving no doubt in anyone's mind. Lena shifted in her seat, the mask of confidence cracking. For a moment, her eyes met Maya's. There was something almost human there, a flash of shame, maybe even regret, but it vanished as quickly as it appeared. The person who had orchestrated the betrayal was still there, still calculating, still dangerous in subtle ways, even as the law bound her hands and removed her freedom. After hours of testimony, cross-examinations, and the presentation of evidence, the judge rendered the verdict: guilty on multiple counts, including fraud, intimidation, and attempted assault. Lena was sentenced to several years in prison, the weight of her crimes officially recognized, her power over Maya and others severely curtailed. Yet for Maya, justice did not feel like a celebration. It was relief, yes, but tinged with a deep and lingering sadness. The courtroom emptied slowly, leaving her alone with Victor, the private investigator who had been her silent ally through the ordeal. "You did the right thing," Victor said quietly, his voice measured but sympathetic. "You protected yourself, and you stopped her before she could hurt anyone else." Maya nodded but said nothing. Words felt inadequate. Lena had been her friend, her confidant, her person. That trust had been shattered, and no courtroom could restore it. Days turned into weeks. Maya returned to her apartment, which had been repaired and secured after the incidents orchestrated by Lena. She unpacked boxes, arranged her belongings, and stared at the space she had once shared with laughter, comfort, and friendship. Now it was only hers, and it felt empty in ways she hadn't anticipated. Even as she worked, the memories persisted. Small, subtle moments haunted her. The way Lena had smiled, leaned in too close, or brushed a hand across Maya's when pretending to console her. The betrayal had not only threatened her life and livelihood, but it fractured her ability to trust completely. One evening, Maya sat at her kitchen table, sipping tea, reflecting. Outside, the city lights flickered against the drizzle. She thought about the lessons she had learned, the fragility of trust, the danger of envy, the importance of vigilance. She also thought about her own instincts, how they had guided her to uncover Lena's duplicity and survive. It was then that Maya realized something crucial. Survival was not just about avoiding physical harm. It was about reclaiming her life, her confidence, and her sense of self. Lena had tried to take those away, but she had failed. Maya was still standing. She still had the power to move forward. In the weeks that followed, Maya began to rebuild more than her apartment. She reconnected with colleagues she had distanced herself from during the turmoil, began new professional projects, and cautiously opened her heart to new friendships. Each interaction was measured, careful, yet hopeful. Trust would not come easily, but it was not impossible. One afternoon, as Maya walked through a small city park, she noticed a woman sitting alone on a bench, sketching in a notebook. Something in the quiet determination of the stranger reminded Maya of herself, resilient, cautious, yet unbroken. Maya paused, smiled politely, and moved on, feeling a sense of kinship even in silence. Back in her apartment, Maya hung a framed photo of her and Lena from years ago, before the betrayal. It wasn't a celebration, but a reminder, a recognition that the past shapes us, that trust is precious, and that betrayal, while painful, does not define the future. Yet, even as she placed the photo on the shelf, Maya felt a flicker of vigilance. Lena was behind bars, but the world was unpredictable. There would always be those who sought to exploit trust, who masked envy and ambition behind smiles. Maya had survived once. She would survive again, if necessary. The final scene is quiet, cinematic. Maya standing at her apartment window, looking out at the rain-slicked city streets. She sips her tea, steady, calm, and thoughtful. The storm outside mirrors the storm she has endured, but inside she feels a sense of hard-won peace. A lingering thought remains. Betrayal can come from the closest people, even those we trust most. But resilience, courage, and clarity can transform pain into strength. Maya had faced deadly consequences, survived, and emerged wiser, stronger, and more alert to the hidden dangers in human relationships. The story closes with a lingering tension, a reminder to the audience that even in resolution, life carries lessons and shadows. Maya has won justice, but trust must now be earned, not given blindly. The consequences of betrayal are lasting, but so too is the power to reclaim one's life.